That's right, you geeks. Welcome into the Echo Screen, the official podcast of the Clan of the Grey Wolf. As always, I am your host, the Commodore. And with me, hopefully, if the stream is still live, on the old pull start computer you've got there in front of you, is Rue.
I can't promise that we won't blue screen of death halfway through, but
Right.
we're gonna
So
try.
we're gonna. This is a special episode because I think
Yeah.
several of you probably don't even know we're here, so that's special.
Now we're getting word out. Yeah, I know. I think we surprised people by actually
Yeah, they're like we actually
doing an
followed
episode when we said we were gonna. So
through. Yeah, it's amazing.
you know,
It's amazing.
it happens.
That's not why it should also be special. We're also going to try to beat the clock on the blue screen of death on the very last
Yes.
episode.
This should be the
on
last-
the old pull start computer you have.
Yeah, that's this old computer that has been basically almost everything Clan of the Grey Wolf since the inception. I built this right before we started anything with this website, and it's been long
It's about half
time.
horsepower, right?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah,
I'm just
horsepower.
waiting on a good old copy of Windows 10 to arrive in the mail so I can upgrade to the next computer, and surely there will be no issues after that.
Absolutely. We'll see you in 2 weeks, right?
We love Windows 10. This episode brought to you by Microsoft.
right.
We bring good
Although
things to
tell
life.
you, since I upgraded the motherboard and went to Windows 10, I got to tell you, I've had like one or two small issues that you'd normally have with any computer.
You
Gotta bring
corporate shill.
I know.
Hail
I know.
corporate.
I did it.
Anyway,
I don't know what to tell you. Anyway, we have an abridged, I guess is what we're saying, show for you tonight. And hopefully we make it even through that. But what are we going to discuss this evening for the topic du jour? Well, I'll tell you. We're going to talk about Pokemon Go.
surprise! In case you didn't look
Yeah,
at the title.
In case
before
you
you
didn't look at the
joined.
title.
It happens.
Well, what's better is you, Rue, are going to try to convince me to download and play it.
Yeah, this is a recurring show idea that we've had. We've done a couple times. I think our previous ones were Game of Thrones, which was wildly successful for you converting me, and Doctor Who, which was not for converting you. I think that
Still
just
can't
shows
stand it.
it shows I have a much more open mind, and therefore am just a better person.
Or the television that you like is awful. That's the other thing.
That's possible. Who knows?
Just that too.
On that note, before we get to the Pokemon Go, the biggest things since sliced bread, I was really trying to come up with something better, and I just
Yeah, that's right.
I'm not feeling it tonight.
That was a solid grab.
Yeah, that was
Sliced bread,
Great.
classic.
classic.
Yep, everybody knows it.
Let's go. Let's do some tids and bits first,
All right, let's do some bits and bits.
because I wanted to segue to speaking of awful TV. Well, first off, okay, I kind of got two mini bits. First off, Ghostbusters, the new Ghostbusters movie will be coming out to much trepidation this coming weekend. My guess is it will be mediocre. It won't be terrible. It won't be amazing, and people will probably mostly forget about it by this time next year. Much like the recent RoboCop and Total Recall remakes, which most people didn't even know happened.
I don't recall those.
See, that's what I'm saying.
Ah,
That's what it's going to be. But
do you think it'll do well at the box office?
it'll probably be okay. I'm sure it will make its money back, especially with the global sales. I mean, that's really what it is. That even if a movie is not that great and doesn't do that great domestically, I'm looking at you, Terminator Genesis. They're going to make their money in China. That's what it is these days. So
Yes.
that's a whole episode in itself. But
Yes.
I wanted to bring this up, and I was mentioning to you before the show. There is a filmmaker out there named of Max Landis, whose father is the famous filmmaker George Landis. Actually, I have no idea. I can't remember what's his name.
His name is not George Landis, but it's
Michael Hughes,
it's
Leonardo DiCaprio,
John Landis.
John Landis. Thank you. Who made
Sorry,
such?
it was like I was right along with you, and then I went. It's a J. It's kind of a just sound, but it's not George.
Anyway, John Landis, who's well known for making classics such as The Blues Brothers and Animal House and Trading Places, stuff like that. Anyway,
Didn't he make a Michael Jackson video too? I think he made a Michael Jackson. Video.
did he do Thriller?
I don't know if he made Thriller.
I feel he could have. Anyway,
Anyway, I'll look that up
prolific,
while you keep talking.
prolific movie maker. Oh, Three Amigos. I'm looking at the list now. Oh, Three Amigos is such a good movie. Blues Brothers 2000, not so much.
No, that's a really bad. Yeah, that's terrible.
Anyway, he did Spider-Man too. That doesn't seem right. Anyway,
Spider-Man.
my point being is that his son Max Landis is also a filmmaker, young guy, and I just found this out. This isn't exactly news, but I thought it was interesting.
He did do Thriller.
What?
He did do Thriller.
Oh, there you go. See, I'm not that crazy.
Yeah,
but
nice
Max
grab.
Landis released on a blog post about a year ago what his idea would have been for Ghostbusters 3 once it was clear that Paul Feig was Fee Feig Fog Fum.
You mean my co-star in Heavyweights?
What?
You don't know this?
No.
Have you actually seen a picture of him? If you see him, you'll recognize him right away. He's my co-star in Heavyweights.
Was he what? He was in Heavyweights?
Yes.
Oh my God.
In the movie Heavyweights, you'll see during the dance scene, he turns to somebody and he goes like this. That was me.
Holy crap.
I did that to him a couple times, and then like the third time he did it, and it made it to the movie.
You're basically a movie star.
I'm basically still on the payroll at Disney.
You basically made Paul Feig who he is today.
I don't know. I mean, he owes me everything. That's all I can tell you.
That's actually pretty funny. Anyway, that was a real sidetrack there. But anyway,
Little trivia.
Once it was clear that he was going to be making the one, Max Landis is like, here's what my idea would have been. And he pitches this. It's kind of a long read, like 15 minutes long. But my thoughts before reading that for this new Ghostbusters, like exactly what I said. It'll be whatever. I'm not going to go see it in the theater. I'll see it eventually. It'll be mediocre, I'm sure. Mm-hmm. I'm pretty sure.
Yep, pretty sure too.
But after reading Max Landis's pitch for what Ghostbusters 3 should have been, I was like, I'm really sad this movie's not going to be made. This is like the best idea I've ever heard for a third Ghostbusters movie. Just Google it. Google Max Landis Ghostbusters, and you'll find it. And just read it and see. I sent Commodore the link before this, and that's my news and/or note, which is a year old, like I said. But
doesn't it make you wonder all the great movies that died on the vine along the way?
oh, I'm sure tons.
Oh my God, I can't even imagine. Consider all the crap that's being made these days. Oh, there's probably so many. It's like 10 great movies that didn't get made for every terrible one.
Before you get to your news and note, we actually were just talking about this beforehand. I forgot to. This is an actual news and note. What Techie brings up in the chat. There was also you were asking me, am I going to go see Star Trek Beyond? I'll see it. I'm not expecting a lot, but whatever. I'm way more excited for the new Star Trek show that's coming out next year.
Yes, I am very excited about that.
But it was revealed in the past week that Sulu will be revealed as gay. Although I don't know how they're going to do that because he also has a wife and a daughter, which is Star Trek canon. Whatever. Maybe bisexual is the better term, but whatever.
Yeah,
the point being is that was revealed as kind of an homage to George Takei, who played Sulu in the original show, who is gay.
Yep, and an overall good dude.
Oh yeah, he's
By all
great.
accounts.
I don't know. I don't know if he still does conventions anymore. I used to go to Star Trek conventions when I was younger, but he was a genuinely happy person who loves the fans, and he is very entertaining. Super nice guy. I mean, everyone has now kind of discovered this since he kind of exploded on the internet scene 5 years ago with all social media. But anyway, the funny thing there is that after this was revealed about Sulu's new character or Sulu's being gay in the new Star Trek film, George Takei comes out and he's like, "Nah, I don't agree with that. That's not who this character is. This is not what it was supposed to be, and it's kind of pandering, you know." And
Well, and I think his chief point was that it really was not true to Gene Roddenberry's vision on the 50th anniversary of Star Trek.
In the end, it's not going to matter that much either way. I just thought that's an interesting note. That the guy who they were nominally honoring with this came out and said, you really shouldn't have done that. So
I have to, because Simon Pegg wrote this movie, right? I mean,
he was at least a co-writer. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, has he written anything else before, or is this his first soiree?
Let me ask Dr. Google.
Through writing a full film.
No, he's got 23 credits as a writer.
Oh, okay. So then he's written a lot.
I was going to say, I'm sure he's written other stuff before.
But to me, it seemed like that was like I really like Simon Pegg. I think he's hilarious, and I love a lot of the movies that he's in that I've seen. But I think this seems like a kind of silly thing to be doing. Like, why mess with that? Like, of all the things that you can change, I mean, they completely changed the entire timeline for Star Trek 2009 For all the things you could change, that's the thing you change.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'll see it. I'm more excited, like I said, to see the show. But yeah,
I'll still
actually,
see it.
he co-wrote things like Hot Fuzz and
Right.
what was I gonna say? The World's End, which I actually really enjoyed.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry.
All the progeny of Shaun of the Dead.
And your tid and or bit, sir.
My tid and or bit is a small one, but a good one. It is that George Martin has finally released to the public that he has finished The Winds of Winter.
What? Are you serious?
He's finished the book. He's finished writing the book. That doesn't mean that this doesn't mean it's right around the corner. Don't get your hopes up.
How are you breaking this to me over this podcast?
Are you even on Reddit anymore?
I was playing Pokemon Go all day.
Okay, well, there's why. Anyway, he announced it. I think it was at a convention on stage.
I was working. I was
writing it.
I was working all day.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So I don't know that. By the way, finished writing doesn't necessarily mean it's in the right sequence yet. You know, doesn't mean that there's necessarily more pieces and edits that have to go along the way. But the point is, the volume is done, and apparently it's 1,500 manuscript pages. I don't really know what that means. But anyway, so it probably means by the end of 2016 we'll have The Winds of Winter.
Wait, where
Maybe
are
a
you?
good Christmas gift.
Did this just come out like 2 hours ago or something?
It came out very, very recently. I want to say I read it maybe yesterday. Like I say, he was at a convention.
I'm not finding this anywhere. I think you're making this up.
I'll find it for you.
I think you're the worst kind of tease.
I'm not. I'm serious. I'm dead serious.
Chat,
serious.
Chat, please confirm or deny. I can't believe anything this ass says.
All right. Well, in the meantime, while they're fact checking, we can move on to our topic du jour, since we're trying to beat the blue screen of death.
Wait, before we move on, I got one other tit or bit, which is really just a recommendation for something random on Netflix that people should watch.
Right. Let's do that.
Going around Netflix the other day, looking for something quick to watch because I was like cleaning up or something like that. I found a show called Drama World. Have you heard of this? Have you heard of this?
Drama World.
I don't think you've heard of this. So it's the first original production of a company called, I can't remember what. Regardless, they basically are an online video platform for mostly Asian dramas and things like that. And it's a production that between Los Angeles and Seoul, South Korea, about an American college age girl who is so in love with Korean drama, or as they call K-dramas, that she gets sucked into one as a facilitator who has to, through her actions, get the main love interests to fall in love so that the show can end. And then those actors will move on to the next one, or the character. Anyway, it sounds dumb, and it's kind of dumb, but it's actually really well done and very entertaining. And the best part is it's 10 episodes of about 15 minutes each. So it doesn't take you too long to get through. I really enjoyed it. I thought all the actors were actually really good. I recommend. 5 stars. There's my Netflix recommendation of the week. Ciao.
Aha. That's a interesting
Anyway,
poll there. I wouldn't have I wouldn't have guessed that one.
I know. No one expects the drama world. Also,
right.
the chat says you're a stinky liar. So,
Oh, okay. Well, I'm a stinky liar then.
citation needed.
Citation needed. Well, I'll find it. All right. So let's see what we got here. So this whole Pokemon Go thing. Now let's talk about our history with Pokemon. Okay.
Okay.
Why don't you start with this, and then we'll jump into how we get to Pokemon Go.
All right. My history with Pokemon. Okay. Well, when it came out in America for the first time, we were middle of high school, like 15, 16-ish. So we were at that point where we started to be like, I'm a little too cool for video games, kind of.
Yes.
I got other things I can spend my time doing, like band, like a cool kid, right? Marching band.
Yep.
So when Pokemon came out, I was like, I'm not interested. It became a phenomenon. And I was like, you know what? I'll I will not torrent. That wasn't a thing then. I will download a Game Boy emulator and play Pokemon just to see if it's any good. I got halfway through the game before I was like, I need to buy this game. So,
Oh my god.
and then I convinced several of our other friends to play it, but never you. It was actually all the other friends I got to convince to play it as well. And since then, I have bought at least one of every generation, I think, of the Pokemon games. I haven't actually finished the past couple, but I would consider myself a fan.
Excellent.
The end.
My story is very limited. So I played Pokemon on Game Boy Color
Okay.
for the first. That was the first. I was trying to remember the first time I played
Because
Pokemon.
your brothers were into Pokemon, right?
I played this on a friend of the family had an extra cartridge sitting around, so I was like, all right, I'll try this. So I got a little bit into it, and I was just not really all that impressed, and it's just never really grabbed me. I didn't think it was bad. It just wasn't my thing. All right, next.
Fair enough. The end.
Oh, by the way, I found out. So the rumors were that he was going to announce he was finished with the Winds of Winter because he was appearing at Worldcon on June 30th, by the way. And what I was reading were the rumors he was going to. He actually did not announce the completion of the Winds of Winter.
Oh, so basically you just lied to
So I lied.
a million
I lied.
people on our
I lied.
podcast.
Yep,
Fine.
a million people. All million of you are so disappointed.
I was going to say, I could have sworn this would have popped up somewhere if this is the case.
Well,
Anyway.
so the reason I said that is
Not that
because
I don't think it
actually-
won't happen, but still.
I have a Google tickler here that tells me whenever there's something happens with the Winds of Winter. So I kept getting stories about it, and I went, oh my god. So I clicked one. It's like, oh, George Martin's going to be announcing that he's finished with the Winds of Winter, and I clearly bought that hook, line, and sinker.
The new Google tickler. That's why I wish Google News had a way to filter out
Yeah,
certain sources, which
yeah.
I mean, they kind of do. It's not at all. It's not easy. You can't just click on
We
something.
should have an episode about that. That's
Yeah, it's the same thing with YouTube. It's like some videos you can tell YouTube I'm not interested in this, or some creators you can say I'm not interested in this, so please stop showing this to me.
Right.
But other times you can't. And I know that YouTube's just trying to push its most famous YouTubers down people's throats so that they'll make more money off of ad revenue. But stop, please.
Yep.
I don't want to. Anyway, so all that to say, so now we're up to Pokemon Go, which we talked about when it was first announced a little less than a year ago, I think, originally. If you go back and look at the tape, I'll say I'm very excited for this. I think this will be pretty good.
Yeah.
What it is. So this is
what it is.
one of Nintendo's forays into mobile gaming that they have started in the past year or so. Built by a company called Niantic Labs, which is, I believe, owned by Google. They got bought out by Google.
Well, it actually started at Google and they split off.
It was started by a former Google executive, yeah, or something like that.
But it was actually he was actually still with the company when he started it, and Google spun it off
There you go. But their game,
when they did the Alphabet thing.
yes, exactly. So they're under Alphabet is probably the more safe thing to say, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But anyway, the game that they're known for, which they came out with a couple years ago, I think, is called Ingress. Which, have you ever played that, by the way?
I have not played Ingress. No.
I was really into it for like 3 or 4 months, and it was a lot of fun. It was very different than anything else you could play. I mean, it's still a game that you can download and play right now for free. I would encourage people to try it out at least. Of course, you also have Pokemon Go, but anyway. Basically, the idea being is that it's an augmented reality game of sorts where it uses your GPS. You go all across the world. You're on one team or another, blue or green. And there are these points of power on the globe, which are landmarks that people submit up to this database. Like, for example, there's a kitten statue outside of a nearby bank that someone says they submitted it and it was accepted as a landmark, which means it's a point of power, and you can attack it if it belongs to the other team, or you can do things to it. Anyway, you can go all around the world and you can do things. Gathering power and items and trying to, take over more of the planet for your team. Interesting game. So Pokemon Go is basically built off of that same engine. In fact, it uses a lot of the same points of power from Ingress, Where,
Convenient.
yeah, exactly. So what you do with Pokemon Go, in case you're, I can't imagine no one has heard about this, but it might be a little confusing as to what exactly it is. You walk around using your GPS. You actually walk out in the world. You walk around and you'll come across Pokemon, which you can capture by throwing a ball at it. It's not very complicated right now. You throw a ball at them, you flick your finger, you can capture it and add it to your collection. And then there are points of power, which you can get items at, and some of them are gyms where you can battle Pokemon. And there are 3 teams in Pokemon Go that you can join, and everyone's battling
with different trainers.
Gyms. Well,
or are you the trainer?
You are the trainer. So for a gym, you can capture it and put your own Pokemon in to defend it, and then other teams can come and attack the Pokemon you leave there to get it back. Anyway, that's basically all there is to the game right now. There's no battling person versus person. There's no trading. Some of the core tenets of what makes a Pokemon game since the very beginning aren't present here. Yet, this is... I think Phenomenon is I don't think anyone, including Niantic or Nintendo, expected this to be what it has become. In less than a week, it has become the most popular mobile game ever. It has more active users than Twitter. In
a week?
In less than a week, Nintendo stock has gone up 50%, which is funny because Nintendo only has like a 20% stake in Niantic, so most of the revenues still go into them.
Right.
It makes literally millions of dollars a day. So, and I go to work, and there are middle-aged men and women that are talking about Pokemon Go.
Pretty crazy.
It's everywhere. So,
pretty crazy.
This leads me... Sorry, did you have a comment first before I launch into the convincing?
Well, the interesting part about it is that it's almost like the dream of augmented reality has finally come to fruition in the form of Pokemon Go. Is this the Rubicon that we cross, so that now games can be about augmented reality on our phones, and they might be way cooler than Pokemon, but this could be the one that made it common for everyone.
I think it is definitely a bridge that has been crossed. I don't know if it's going to... I will say it this way. I think augmented reality is going to be more of a thing than virtual reality in the near term.
That's Microsoft's opinion. You're absolutely right.
And that exactly. And there I mean, Microsoft now, but going back several years, the 2 companies that come to mind when I think of augmented reality are augmented reality being, you see like, and this is something else that happens in Pokemon Go. You're looking around through your phone, and the camera is showing you the world around you, and it just imprints like a little cartoon Pokemon, like if you're walking down the street, it's like, oh look, there's a Pikachu. They're sitting on the sidewalk. I'm going to throw stuff at it. Right. That's augmented reality. 2 companies that have really been doing that for years are Google and Nintendo. Nintendo's been doing that ever since the 3DS came out. Mm-hmm. And this is definitely the most successful implementation of that I've ever seen. Successful meaning popular.
Yeah.
So I think this is definitely going to create a lot of copycats in one way or another.
There's going to be... It's going to be like Flappy Bird, except much more complicated. But
yeah. Like I said, I mean, Ingress is the only game I've ever... Not that there aren't more games, but Ingress is the only game I know of that has been like this in the past. And that's why I really enjoyed Ingress for a time, because it was unique. It wasn't one of a million puzzle games that go all over mobile gaming. Anyway, so
all right. So, you're going to convince me why I should play Pokemon Go.
Yes. So here's my first point for you.
Okay.
Why you should play Pokemon Go.
Yep.
All the cool kids are doing it.
Are they cool kids?
I think they're cool kids. I mean, you got kids,
I
of
actually
course.
saw a tweet today from Vince McMahon.
Okay.
Who found a Pokemon at his gym. And put the screenshot up there. So Vince McMahon is pretty cool. So all right, I'll give you that.
This is a game. Okay, of course you have kids playing this game. Kids are always going to love Pokemon games.
Right.
But the thing is that this
Gym
is
Pokemon?
Sorry?
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Gym Pokemon? Yeah.
But I mean, you have kids who were first playing Pokemon games who are now adults, ostensibly. This includes people like Vince McMahon. This includes people like us who are of age when Pokemon came. This includes people who maybe have never even played a Pokemon game. I doubt Vince McMahon has ever played a Pokemon game. But you know what?
I will bet you anything he has not.
It's
You're
a
correct.
little app that you can download for free,
Yep.
and you can. I mean, there are microtransactions, of course, but you can just play around with it and have fun, and it's a lot of fun. I think I saw a thing about how I think it's real. The Prime Minister or President of Israel was showing a Pokemon that was in his office when they were having server problems since launching a few days ago. Niantic was like the chief technologist of Apple, or I'm sorry, not Apple, Amazon, sent them a tweet saying, "Hey, if you need any server help, let us know, because I really wanted to catch that Pokemon, that Slowpoke that was in my office earlier today."
Oh my God.
All the cool kids are playing it, you know.
All right, so I
Peer
can't dispute
pressure.
the fact that all the cool kids are playing it. So I will give you that. I'll grant you that. That, however, has not been the best way to persuade me to do things in the past. So let's go to number 2.
You gotta be the anti-establishment.
I didn't
candidate.
say that. You're trying to persuade me.
You're
I'm telling
basically-
you, I got it. Yeah, I'm granting you the point. But let's get to number 2.
You're basically Donald Trump. Anyway, all right.
I'm gonna build a Poke wall.
Second point. Seriously, you're not some sort of old fogey, are you?
Well,
Are you
as
too
fogies
cool
go, I'm not that old.
Are you
but
too cool
I'm more fogey than
to
old.
play Pokemon? Are you ashamed to have Pokemon on your phone? Is that it?
Yeah, I have games on my phone.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just making that clear, because
Yeah.
you know, if you want to be,
That's
an extension of the first point, which is if you want to be hip and cool, you got to get with the times, man. And the times are all about catching the Pokemon.
You gotta get a little of that Snapchatty hangout
Yes.
Facebook thing. Yeah.
All right. Point 3.
Yep.
It's fun. All right.
Okay.
Now,
That's good.
I'm going to grant you a couple points here before I even go on. Like I said, there's no battling other trainers at the moment. There's no trading at the moment.
Right.
These are things that Niantic's being a little cagey about. They may add later in some form or another. So what it is right now is basically what Pokemon has always been at its core, which is a collecting game. It's got to catch them all. You know.
Right.
You can battle other Pokemon players leave at gyms, but for the most part, it's, ooh, look, I got I see this Pokemon. I don't have him yet. I'm gonna catch him and add him to my little bug collection. You know,
Right.
People love collecting things. It tickles that little
People are OCD.
Yes. It tickles that little spot in the back of your brain where you're like, ooh, I'm completing a collection of
I'm getting them all.
bottle caps or these are all things that people have collected in the past. Bottle caps or coins or stamps or digital Pokemon, you know. So that if you want to increase your dopamine levels, this is a good way to do that.
I have been looking for a way to increase my dopamine levels, so that could be a good thing to do.
All right. Fourth point.
Yep.
It is surprisingly social. I saw many pictures on my local subreddit over the weekend of people downtown in the park. I mean, yes, they're looking at their phones for the most part, trying to catch Pokemon, but they're also meeting.
Just like doing this.
Yeah, it's actually kind of amusing. But the thing is, there's people there that would not have been there otherwise. And and you know what? They meet up with people who are obviously like-minded. And you know what's funny is that you would think that these if someone's like, I went downtown to the park to see people playing Pokemon Go, I took this picture. Probably the two things are going to be in your mind. It's either going to be a bunch of like 10-year-olds or it's going to be a bunch of like 35-year-old neckbeards with fedoras that look like they haven't been outside in 3 years.
Don't make fun of my fedora.
But
Yeah.
all these pictures were like all sorts of people. Like I said, I went to work the past couple of days and literally everyone's talking about it. Everyone has at least heard of what it is. My mom texted me before this show saying, "Are you going to talk about Pokemon Go?" I never said anything to her about it. It's everywhere. It's
God.
all over the local news. You know, people know about it. So
I like this. I like Broccolips says in the chat. Kami, would you rather play Pokemon Go Away? Now that is curmudgeonly.
yes.
Pokemon
So
Go Away.
So it is surprisingly social. This is perhaps one, and it's something to, with all the garbage going on in the world nowadays. Isn't it nice to have something in common with your fellow man for once?
Yeah, it doesn't involve a cause or a political statement. It's just we're all just trying to catch them all.
Yeah,
you know?
And you can, and there's only a slight chance of you getting robbed.
Right.
Lured into a dark alley and robbed.
At this point, there's more of a chance that you stop a robbery in progress than you are robbed.
Yeah, it's only happened a few times. Actually, I was checking out the Pokemon Go subreddit today, just out of curiosity, and there's an active there's an active movement of people trying to make something good out of this. Like not anything huge. They're like, we're not going to make world hunger go away or something, but it's something like, hey, and some of the highest
lives matter.
Yeah, well, yes.
Oh, okay.
But like some of the highest voted stuff on the subreddit is things like, hey, you know what? If you're going out to these parks and things like that, if you see some, pick up a piece of trash while you're out there.
Yeah.
You don't have to go out there with like a bag and a stick with a nail on it. Just like clean up a little bit.
Yeah,
that's nice. It's like clean up your community. A little something if you're going to be wandering all over the world.
Hey,
nice.
Clean it up. Tell those drug dealers to get the hell out of there.
Yeah.
And give you your Pokemon back.
Hey, man. Hey, you. Get your damn hands off her.
Works every time.
All right. Point 5.
Okay.
Find dead bodies.
Yeah.
Solve crimes.
Actually, solve crimes. I like solving crimes.
So this is a thing that happened where some a woman or a girl, I don't have the news story in front of me, but over the weekend she basically was walking along a stream and found a dead body there.
Well,
not
happens.
Probably what she was looking for, but hey.
But do you think that she would be walking along that stream or anywhere potentially if it weren't for Pokemon Go? The answer is no, and that's why it's cool. That's what I think is great about this whole thing, right? You mentioned the social aspect, but it's cool that people just get outside and go do stuff, right? It's like this is turning on its head every argument you ever heard about why you shouldn't play video games, right?
I know.
It's like, get outside and play this video game.
And that is my point 6, which is it gets you out of the house. It gets people out of the house to play video games. Like I saw some tweets earlier about like, oh man, I gotta go home. I want to go outside and play video games.
Yes.
It's like, oh, it's dark out. I gotta go inside. Things like that. And it's hilarious. I mean, yes, you're kind of buried in your phone, but you're still getting out there. You're still walking around. And that leads me to my next point, which is you can discover new points of interest in your own community that you may have passed by 100 times before and never noticed. Because most of these gyms, like I said, are, landmarks in the community.
Really
maybe historical markers. And the great thing is like a lot of these things, because they were pulled over from Ingress, which has been around for several years, these are pretty well established landmarks that have descriptions written for them. So like if you're passing by a marker, it'll be like, the blur. This at this date in 1822, some guy pooped his pants. And you'd be like, oh man.
And then it adds to it. Then this guy captured Squirtle.
Yeah, exactly. Which is really more important. But anyway,
So let me ask you this: if you and I went to the same place at the same time, would we see the same Pokemon?
I haven't confirmed this in myself. Maybe the chat can.
These are the things that I wonder about.
I think you can.
Is this a persistent world of Pokemon? But
I think it is. I think it is.
So like these Pokemon were just thrown all out in the world.
Yes.
And we're all just walking around trying to find them.
It's Pokemon's world. We're all just living in it.
I see.
Got it. So
Yep.
and
I'm actually really interested to go walk around. Like I have places in my head, like parks and things like this, where now I'm tempted to go get the app and just walk around and see what appears
and see what you can find.
Right.
And actually, we have another mutual friend who I was talking to about over this past weekend. Who's like, I don't know. I don't think I'm going to download it. It's probably got all those new Pokemon that I don't know or care about. I only like the first 150. That's all there is right now. So which was a brilliant move on Niantic's part to actually just include the base ones that everyone knows, more or less. Like no one really cares so much for Bidoof or Ching Chong. I think there's actually one called Ching Chong.
Yeah, it's bad.
Regardless. So,
Wasn't a huge fan before. That's not going to help.
So having said all that, though, probably a good idea to not catch Pokemon in places like the Holocaust Museum in Washington, D.C., the 9/11 Museum in New York City. That's been causing some bad press lately. Just don't do it, guys. Use some better judgment.
Yeah. That would be pretty creepy if you went to the Holocaust Museum and like
there's a Ghastly.
Yeah. That
Sorry.
would be really,
That was
would be
bad.
really awkward.
I'm bad.
Oh god.
Anyway, so but you know, it gets you out there, and maybe you'll want to check some of this stuff. Maybe you'll go to an art museum that you never thought you'd go to. You go for the Pokemon, you stay for the cultural enlightening.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
That's about all I got. So so I don't know. How do you feel about the Pokemon Go right now?
You know, I still do not understand the concept of Pokemon. I get the collection thing. That totally, I got it, right? So if you get collection and you get Pokemon, then I got it. So I don't get the Pokemon thing, but the concept of being able to discover these things in all kind of corners of the world is pretty interesting, right? Like I say, when you were talking there before, I started thinking, man, there's some cool places like the park or, you know, like town hall, places that I could actually, you know, go to and just walk around and see what's there. I would actually be really interested to do that and see what happens, just to see what's out there.
It's an excuse to get yourself out, you know?
Yeah, I think that's a great idea.
If I'm going running around, if I'm jogging around, I take my phone with me anyway because I'm listening to a podcast or something, but I'll also be checking it while I'm running around because I'm like, oh, maybe there's something interesting I can find as well. It's just, it's something that, and the thing is like, you don't have to get Pokemon as it has existed up to this point to get Pokemon Go, which is why this has way more reach than Pokemon. I mean, Pokemon's a very popular franchise. This has, within days, far more reach than Pokemon has ever had before.
And that's kind of the point, right? Because
right.
For me, I do not understand the Pokemon thing. I am not at all interested in that whatsoever. But if that's the vehicle that, you know, gets people doing all these cool things, then I could see that. I kind of wish that somebody had made like, you know, Thundercats Go, or, you know, like
You're a terrible person.
Why? That would have been awesome. I'd do that. He-Man Go? No. SpongeBob Go? I'd play that.
So
but so I guess what I'm saying is the branding is not my favorite, but
sure.
And I kind of don't want people to know that I have anything related to Pokemon on my phone, but but the game itself sounds interesting. I will try that.
And the thing is, it is so widespread right now that
this is the only time when it's okay.
It's joining. Now is your time.
Walking around, it's like, I just wanted to see what this is like. My kids were doing.
I was moderately joking before when I said all the cool kids are doing it. In a real way, now's the time to hop on the bandwagon because it's something to talk about with fellow people.
And there's no judgment.
Your fellow humans.
Judgment-free zone.
The thing is that there's tons of think pieces now. As is the news cycle at first, like, Nintendo's back, baby. Yeah, they can do no wrong. They're going to be great. Whereas a month ago, it was Nintendo's doomed. They're going out of business. Sell all your stock.
Isn't that funny?
And now there's
Johnny come latelys.
Of course. And now there's the backlash, which is, oh, how long can it last? And it's like, okay, yes, of course, it's not going to be rocketing into the stratosphere like this forever. There's a very much kind of game of the summer feel to it. It's relatively limited. It's not something I think I'm going to be playing every day for the next 3 years.
Yes.
Unless some major changes are made.
No, and I think that's fine.
I
look at this and I say that's I mean, like, I could see this thing being gone in a month, but you never know.
I mean, it won't be gone, but it'll still be making money hand over fist because, as we've discussed before, this is the nature of mobile gaming and microtransactions. They are sneaky and very good at getting at separating people from their money. Yeah. And that's all they need to keep going with it. But for now, it is in the zeitgeist.
Point number 9 is it's just like crack.
Basically, it's crack.
Yeah.
What's wrong with that?
Great. Yeah, it's a great argument. I'll try it. I will try it and I will report back for next time.
Okay, fair enough. I'm interested to see how you
I will try it over the weekend. I'll
foray
try it
goes.
over. Yeah, I'll give that a shot. I could use a reason to take a little jaunt outside and search for Pokemon around the cul-de-sac.
And if you do like Pokemon Go, and you're interested in something a little bit more depth, check out Ingress. That's for everyone out there too. I don't play it very much often myself, but it's an interesting little game, and it's still fairly unique, you know. So
Yes. All right. The abridged version is cruising along nicely, I might add.
yes, amazingly.
Yeah, we're doing pretty good. So this is the third portion of the program where we take your questions live on the air. I have a strict limitation, but I got to tell you, I don't even know if I'm going to get there because we only have a few questions that have piled up to this point. If you have questions about the TIDS and or bits,
I don't think we ever actually put out the call for questions. Technically,
no, this is probably why. See, this is what it's like I knew what you were going to say. So if you have any questions about the TIDS and or bits, the topic du jour, or anything else in life, gaming or geekery, all you have to do is ask us a question. If you're following along with us in chat, click Commodore 128. That it happens to be my name, and send me a private message. That's how I like them. And then you can also, conversely, tweet me at It's the Commodore with your questions, and I will take the best ones. Although right now I'm just going to take them all. So
take them all.
Got to catch them all. Got to take them all. Because we're trying to wrap this thing up, but at the same time, need some more questions. This is good. Okay, so that's how you ask questions. Get it done. Starting with number one from Marquise. This is a great question. I was watching the first Back to the Future last weekend, and it got me thinking.
True.
It's not a true or false question.
Oh, sorry.
Is Back to the Future a perfect movie?
So we were discussing before this the Red Letter Media, which I think I can safely say is both of our favorite YouTube channel. They did a review, is what they call it, of the original Ghostbusters movie, and they threw around the term "perfect movie." I think I've heard that term before, but I only really thought about it a lot after watching that video. And they were saying Ghostbusters is, if not exactly, it's nearly a perfect movie. Meaning, there's only a few things you might want to change, or a couple things.
Yeah.
Or a perfect movie being there's nothing you would change. It is excellent as it is.
Sure.
Back to the Future is, for me, it's my favorite movie. So yes, I'm going to say that is a perfect movie. Doesn't mean that it couldn't be better, but there's nothing I would change about it.
I don't know if Back to the Future is a perfect movie.
What would you change then? I think in order to say that, you have to say, this is what I would change.
Yeah. So
I think it's an extraordinarily, much like the first Star Wars movie, it's an extraordinarily tight movie.
It is. It does not linger anywhere. The casting, I think, is actually very good.
Yeah, the action scenes are done very well. The music is great.
Music's unbelievable.
The plot moves along at a steady pace and is
good,
gripping.
The car, it really does work well in almost every facet. It moves along. Like, I wouldn't change anything about the storyline. I would not change it at all. Mm-hmm. I mean, the arc is perfect and everything just works out. No one's ever asked me what I would change about Back to the Future before. That's a great question.
I think at least that's how I would define a perfect movie. Is like
there's a lot of movies I wouldn't change. That doesn't mean I would call them perfect though, because I'm not a filmmaker, right?
Well, so fine, yeah, but still.
I mean, if you said, "Hey, I can't detect what's wrong with this glass of wine, but is this glass of wine perfect?"
Yes.
I don't think
to you it is perfect.
Yeah. All right. Well, so that's a whole nother concept, right? You think Back to the Future is a perfect movie.
I think the incest gag, as Gizmo's Game Lounge says in the chat, is crucial to the story. Incest is crucial.
It is, but the uncomfortability about it, it's got almost like a John Hughes
innocence,
innocence to it, which is awesome. But yet still that kind of that classic Americana adolescence and growing up themes to it. It's really good. Thematically, it's really. I mean, it's a good movie. You want to know what my example? He says if it isn't, then what is? You want to know what my example is?
Go for it.
For the perfect movie. I think the perfect movie is Jurassic Park.
Oh, that's definitely up there.
Jurassic Park is a perfect movie.
It is such a good movie.
forget the fact that I wouldn't change anything because I just don't think that I would. And of course, you have to look back at it as almost a period piece now because some of the technology, the cars, it's the computers. It's not the same, right? You know that it's not happening right now. When we watched it, it was happening right then. Now you have to look back on it and say this happened 20 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
But besides that, I wouldn't change anything about it. But I also think it's a perfect movie. It flows perfectly. It does everything it's supposed to do. It's got all kinds of different emotions involved. You laugh, you cry, you get scared, and it's about dinosaurs. I don't know that it can get any better than that.
And it's almost kind of cliche right now to say this, but about Jurassic Park in particular, but the special effects, 95% of the special effects still hold up better than a lot of special effects today, which is amazing.
Amazing.
So,
amazing. Absolutely.
Sorry, go ahead.
Well, partly because the mixture of practical effects and computer effects. Instead of making everything computer effects, there were a lot of practical effects, and I think that's why it holds up.
Which I think is partially why a lot of the effects in Star Wars Force Awakens were really good because they mixed it. It wasn't just all green screen like the prequels. Torgo Gorgo in the chat. Torgo Gorgo, I can't say it. In the chat, said he actually has a lot of nostalgia for Ghostbusters, but he's kind of agreeing with some that suggest that it might be a bit overrated, as in it's not a perfect movie. I would agree. I love Ghostbusters. I would not call it a perfect movie. I think there are enough things that are a little... I mean, basically, if you look into the background of how Ghostbusters was made, it's basically Dan Aykroyd, who's a crazy occultist, or fan of the occult, and...
famously so.
Yeah, and Harold Ramis kind of reining him in as much as he can, and then you got Ivan Reitman, who's also very good. But then Bill Murray basically ad-libbing for half the movie, which for the most part he's amazing at, and sometimes I'm like, yeah. So, but it all mixes together in a great movie. But the thing is, it's a lot of chaos trying to be contained in there, and sometimes it doesn't quite work as well.
Which is really why they didn't keep making them, because they kind of captured lightning in a bottle.
I think that's a good way to. I think it's a good way to describe Ghostbusters. Ghostbusters 2, obviously not as good.
But I think I've heard several people say that Bill Murray never wanted to do Ghostbusters 2, and
you can tell
if you watch Ghostbusters 2, it's like he's not really even into it, and this is at the height of Bill Murray's powers. Yeah. Although you could argue that he's at the height of his powers today. He's on T-shirts, for God's sakes, and like silhouettes, and people know that. Oh, that's Bill Murray.
True.
Okay. Well, I don't know that there is a perfect movie. Is there a perfect form of art anywhere? I mean, it's part of the. I mean, you and I played music together, right? It was always that thought process of you can always get better, right? Something can always get better.
True, but
maybe film is the same.
I don't know. I think in my mind, for something to be perfect, for something to be a 10 out of 10, doesn't mean, well, and then this goes opposite to what I just said. It doesn't mean that it can't be improved upon, but it might be the best thing, the best example of what's out there right now.
Yeah.
Now.
All right, that's good. Millennial Falcon asks, are there any plans to have more guests on the podcast? The episode with Pushing Up Roses was excellent.
Sorry,
I thought it was excellent too.
What was the second part?
The episode with Pushing Up Roses.
It was. Well, we could have her back. I've been wanting to get Norm, the gaming historian, on here for quite a while to talk about something.
Yes.
I was actually just talking to him before the show tonight about a panel we'll be co-hosting in Portland at the Retro Gaming Expo this year, which sounds exciting. Anyway, yes, there's absolutely nothing against getting more guests on here. It's been mostly technical problems as of late, which, by the way, I do realize that the past few episodes of the podcast had not been updating in the feed for some reason. I spent a few hours this past weekend just trying to figure out what was going on. I kept tinkering with a bunch of stuff. It works now, but yeah, I apologize for that. I still don't know what the problem was. Anyway, technical problems abound, but hopefully getting a new computer, which is more stable, with rock-solid Windows 10, will get us on firm ground for that later.
Here we go.
Some examples of perfect things in the chat, by the way, before we move on. Jado3L says they would call Tetris a perfect game. I think that's
Tetris is a perfect game.
That's a excellent candidate for that. I'd also put Super Mario Brothers up there for different reasons, but still. Casablanca and Goodfellas could be considered perfect movies. It's up there, certainly. Almost Famous, which I've never seen. You've seen that, right?
Yep.
Would you say it's close to perfect or perfect?
I can see why people would say that. Yes, I don't feel that way, but I absolutely understand why people would say that.
Okay. Anyway, I just wanted to run over those. Go ahead.
Yeah. All right. So this is from Broccolope, who asks a question that might have me rethinking my opinion now on Pokemon Go. Here we go. You ready?
Oh, great.
Would you rather hit a pedestrian while driving and playing Pokemon Go, or be the pedestrian hit by someone playing Pokemon?
What?
Well, I mean, you'd be famous. This does bring up an interesting point. We've seen now people playing Pokemon Go that have discovered dead bodies and look down to see a robbery in progress and then help with that. How long is it until we have liability issues? Someone was driving down the road and playing Pokemon Go.
Well, I've already seen like signs on highways, like where they can flash up whatever messages the DOT wants, where they say things like "Don't Pokemon and drive." Like, there's already a bit of a public backlash against some of it. Some like I was just kind of joking, quote unquote, before, but like the Holocaust Museum is starting to tell people, please don't chase Pokemon here. This is not the place for that. You have a lot of like, please be aware on the road, kind of stuff. There's a slight bit of a backlash already for like, please be safe and don't be an idiot with this stuff, but there's also businesses that are like, hey, we're a gym here, come visit for your Pokemon, things like that. So actually the Durham Bulls Athletic Park opened up the park, I think yesterday or a couple nights ago, just so people could come and catch Pokemon. It's actually pretty funny. Again, there's that weird social aspect. It's like that weird thing that a lot of people can join in and do together that causes businesses and such to open up like that. So anyway, yeah, there's going to be more stupid people that do stupid things while trying to play Pokemon Go. But the thing is, if they didn't have Pokemon Go, stupid people are going to do stupid things anyway. So
yeah,
it's just, it can be a good excuse.
I saw a story right before we came on about this guy who owns a pizza shop on Long Island, and he paid $10 to become like a point of power or something in the game, and he has had a 75% increase in sales over the last 3 days.
Yeah.
His biggest day of the year is July 4th. He's had 3 consecutive days bigger than his last 3 July 4ths. And he paid $10 to make that happen. Yeah. So it's like, how many small businesses around the world are going to be doing that now?
And hey, you know what? The players are going to have no qualms about that. It's like, oh, more places to go grab stuff. Okay. So
yeah. I might as well get a slice of pizza while we're here.
Man, right. We didn't even talk about the Tesla thing, the Tesla autopilot crash. Let's save that for next time, because I wanted to get into that a little bit.
There's some cool concepts about. I mean, we've done podcasts on vehicle autonomy and things like that, but I think it would be a good conversation to have. It starts to what happens when these machines start making decisions, and then someone has to do what an insurance company inevitably has to do, which is ascertain who is to blame for something.
Obviously, the machines become self-aware, and you get Skynet.
Right. Oh, yeah, exactly.
That was easy.
Techie sent a link, which I will not forward out, but I'll just say, has anything changed since so this was the story about that recently broke, which is a good tid and or bit that we probably should have talked about. The idea that Warner Brothers as a studio paid popular YouTube personalities to promote Shadows of Mordor.
Oh.
Which came out in 2014. And his question is, has anything changed since this incident and the setting slash disclosure of it today? And I think the answer is no. Of course, I saw plenty of stuff on this. I saw plenty of material on this. And, by and large, let's pretend for a second that you and I were famous YouTube personalities. Let's just pretend.
Okay.
Okay. Let's pretend that we had a channel and we had quit our jobs and we had subsistence on our YouTube channel, and we were incredibly popular, right? A studio comes to us and says, "Listen, we got a movie coming out. We want you to review this thing, and we want you to write about it now, or a video game, right? We really think your opinion's great.
All right.
Sign here, pay you. What are you going to do?"
I think most people would say, yeah, sure. I mean, the thing is,
And you'd sign the paperwork, and you'd say, "These people valued my opinion," and that would probably color your perception of the game, would it not?
certainly. And it's not so bad as it was a few years ago, but it's still kind of the Wild West with this whole YouTube thing where you have basically normal off-the-street folks who are getting ridiculously popular and decent incomes. And and they're not... It's not like a news organization or a magazine that has like certain ethical standards in place. You know, it's just some guy usually out of his own bedroom or basement or garage or something, and it's like if someone comes up to you, he's like, "I'll give you $1,000 if you talk about this game," they're gonna more often than not be like, "Okay." So maybe
and I would do it too.
Yeah, I mean, maybe there's some. Yeah, because most people we're just human. But the thing is that I think if anything, there might be have been some minor changes since the Shadow of Mordor thing. But yeah, I agree with you for the most part. There's not been a lot of real changes.
I mean, look,
at least as far as YouTube's concerned.
Yeah, and I mean, if we go down the path, I mean, this is kind of what happens every day. But if we go down the path of, even a game journalism outlet that has, been wined and dined by somebody and they get paid, that I'd be upset about, right? Because I think that to a certain extent makes, their job is to be objective. That's how they sell their value. And I think when people have compromised good video game journalism, there have been consequences. I don't think anybody would say that PewDiePie is like the person that represents great game journalism.
Nobody has a lot of pull, which is what matters.
Is a ton of pull, and I guess my point is that does that make the same ethical threshold? He's not exactly the person that holds the keys to something being good or something not being good.
That's a deep question, though.
Yeah, it is. I guess my point is that I don't know that would really change anything.
What's the moral obligation of a YouTuber?
Yeah, and I don't think there really is one, to be honest.
Or any entertainer. I don't think
this is a big deal. Yeah, and that's why I think it's not a big deal. Look, I mean, if you go to, there's obviously a lot of issues going on right now. We by and large have a show about fun, happy things, so we don't really talk about these things. But if you look at what's, like I saw something today about how, because the ESPYs are on, right? So the ESPYs are out there. So they're do athletes have a moral, an ethical responsibility to represent people and make messages and all this? And I thought that was good because it was a good answer of like, no, they don't, right? They can if they want to, but they certainly don't have to. And I think that's if a YouTuber gets paid to go, especially if they I still think what you had said about the whole Gamergate thing still holds true to me. As long as you disclose that you got paid to do something, who cares?
Right? I think that's how most people. I think most people, not necessarily the most vocal people, but the most people don't begrudge anyone for taking ad money or doing ads, as long as it's clear that it is an ad. You know, that's all they want. Again, for the most part, and at the very least, I think a lot of people are at least realizing that. So, again, it's the Wild West, but things are getting, I think, a little more standardized when it comes to that. Slowly, on YouTube at least, and other things. So,
Yeah, and I think also these YouTube personalities, right? We've seen how ephemeral they are. A lot of the people that were very, very popular early on in YouTube have kind of lost their popularity,
yeah, it
and
ebbs
people that
flows.
weren't even really around when YouTube became really popular are astronomically popular.
Some people that weren't around 2 or 3 years ago are astronomically popular now.
That's what I mean.
This is the nature of the beast.
It really is.
So,
And I would say, especially if I was somebody that was going to ride that wave and knew that my livelihood was going to focus on it, I would absolutely positively do exactly what he did and they did, because you never know when the floor is going to fall out, and no one's going to care what you think anymore. Like Matt Damon. No one cares what Matt Damon thinks.
Matt Damon.
Matt Damon. Yeah. So I think we can end it there. That's a
All
good
right.
one. I do have a couple more questions, but we've so far fended off the blue screen of death.
Yeah,
Why test fate?
we are attempting it with a big
Any
old
further.
chocolate cake.
Right. I don't think we should test it any further. So we'll wrap things up there, folks. So I will indeed go and try Pokemon Go.
Wah, wah.
Made an Austin Powers joke. So I will go try out Pokemon Go and let people know for next time. We are a bi-weekly show, so when is the next time people will see us? Let's figure this out.
That should be July 27th, Wednesday, 9 p.m. Eastern.
Yeah, that sounds interesting. All right, so we'll do it on the 27th of July. I will come back and I will tell you folks what I thought of Pokemon Go. And we will have another exciting, fun topic, and we'll see if it even happens, because Rue is updating or building really a new machine with Windows 10. So
Yes.
that should be fun. So if we aren't here, you know exactly why. And you can tweet it's Windows 10's fault. So with that in mind, and by the way, yes, I have seen Twitter. There's I saw the Twitter image of us on a. I don't know if you've seen this. Have you seen this?
I haven't seen that.
With us on what appears to be an iPad, with the 10th reason we should try Pokemon Go.
Okay. You want to describe that at all? Or?
Yeah, you should check that out. It's good. I mean, I think you look pretty good for being squished onto an iPad screen. You look pretty good for that.
Why, thank you.
Yeah. And the other question was, techie, which I didn't get to ask, was, will you guys be at the Retro World Expo July 29th through 31st in Connecticut? No, I actually am going to be at a different convention at that point, although it's one I have to go to for work. So
Wah, wah. No,
otherwise, one in Connecticut, I'd totally go to. That sounds great.
the only convention I have on the docket is Portland in. Oh, I see it. Yeah. Pidgey's listening to Echo Screen Live. Is Portland Retro Gaming Expo, which I believe is in October. So,
Yes.
if you're on the West Coast, you'll see me then.
Boom.
In your face.
All right, so 2 weeks. Be there. Be square. 9 p.m. All right, we're gonna we'll have another exciting and fun topic, and probably have a few more about Pokemon Go as well, and we'll see if it's as big of a phenomenon then as it is today.
Very
By the
good.
way, I see the trending hashtag here is Pokemon Go made me. That sounds fun. I'll click on that once
God.
to see what's going on there.
And everyone, don't forget, Commodore's a big fat liar when it comes to anything George R. R. Martin related.
True. And I completely blame my casual browsing of headlines on my Google Now feed. I will stop such journalistic laziness and actually read those articles next time. So I apologize for any of you that did a spit take with your milk that you usually take at the beginning of the program when I misreported that George Martin had finished The Winds of Winter. He might have. I could have been the first correct reporting of that anywhere,
But nope,
but it would
you
be
fumbled
total
it.
happenstance.
Yep.
If that happened.
Anyway. All right.
All right, folks. Until then, have a lot of fun. We will see you all then. Thank you for listening, as always, to the Echo Screen Live, the official podcast of the Clan of the Grey Wolf. For Rue, until then, I am the Commodore. And there is no reset button.
.com.
.com. I'm not putting it together, I guess. But there's a is that Pidgey? Is that what that is?
I don't know. I'm playing Pokemon Go right now, so.
Okay. It's a yellow bird. He looks angry. He doesn't want to listen to us.
Gotta catch them all.
Guess so.
Woo! War Turtle.